We all know airports are strict about what you can carry. Nobody's surprised when they take away scissors or a lighter. But what shocks many travelers is that TSA has a long list of foods you can't bring through security. Imagine standing in line only to watch your homemade jam, favorite salsa, or even grandma's gravy tossed straight into the trash. In a recent clarification, TSA officials reminded travelers that creamy dips, jams, and spreads often get confiscated if they exceed the 3.4-ounce liquid gel limit. In this video, we're counting down 8 foods you can't take on a plane in 2025. Some of these rules seem to make no sense, but they can cost you time, money, and frustration. Stick with me until the end because number 1 will surprise you the most, and I'll also share how to pack food the right way so you never waste a good meal again. And if you love smart travel tips nobody else tells you, subscribe now so you never fly unprepared. Let's get straight to the point.
8. Soup. At first, soup sounds like the perfect comfort food for a long trip. Maybe it's grandma's chicken soup, maybe it's your favorite creamy tomato, or maybe you just want something warm and familiar on the road. But here's the catch. TSA doesn't see soup as food. They see it as liquid. And under their liquid rule, you're only allowed containers of 3.4 ounces or less in your carry-on bag. To put that into perspective, 3.4 ounces is barely enough for a couple of spoonfuls. So, unless you plan on sipping soup out of a shot glass, it's not going through. According to TSA's own guidelines, soups must follow the same rule as other liquids, gels, and sauces. Now, imagine this. A grandmother lovingly packs homemade chicken noodle soup for her sick grandchild, hoping it brings comfort on the flight. The security officer takes one look and says, "Sorry, that's a liquid." No exceptions, no sentimental value. Soup is soup, and into the trash it goes. The officer isn't being rude, it's just the rule, and they follow it to the letter. It feels harsh, but it's all about security consistency. If TSA started allowing bigger containers of soup, then technically other liquids would slip through too, and suddenly the system doesn't work. So what's the smart move? If you're craving soup while traveling, buy it after you've cleared security. Airports usually have restaurants or cafes where you can grab a hot bowl safely. It may cost more, but at least you won't risk losing grandma's recipe at the checkpoint. And trust me, losing soup isn't just sad, it's messy. And if soup is banned, wait till you see what happens with something even sweeter.
7. Jam and jelly. Now here's a rule that feels almost silly, but it's one of the most common mistakes travelers make. That sweet little jar of strawberry jam you picked up at a farmer's market, or maybe the fancy blueberry preserve you bought as a gift in Europe. Well, TSA doesn't see it as a treat. They see it as a gel. And once it's in the gel category, the famous 3.4-ounce rule kicks in. Think about that for a second. A tiny travel-sized shampoo bottle? Yes, that's the same limit for jam. So unless your jam is small enough to fit in one of those little hotel-style containers, you're in trouble. Many travelers have learned the hard way. Picture this. You've carefully wrapped up a jar of grandma's homemade jam to bring across the country. You hand your bag over only to watch an officer drop it into the bin without a second thought. It doesn't matter if it's expensive, sentimental, or irreplaceable. Jam is jam. Here's the smart move. If you really want to bring it home, pack it in your checked luggage. Wrap it up in a few layers of clothes or even a Ziploc bag to avoid sticky surprises if it breaks. If you try to sneak it through carry-on, you'll almost certainly lose it. So, the rule is clear. TSA says jams and jellies in carry-ons must be under 3.4 ounces. Anything more? Say goodbye. And here's the kicker. Jam isn't the only breakfast favorite that TSA doesn't trust. Wait until you hear the next one.
6. Yogurt. Here's one that really surprises people. Yogurt. Yes, the same little cup you pack for a quick breakfast or snack on the go. You'd think it's safe, right? But to TSA, yogurt isn't just food, it's a gel. And that puts it under the same 3.4-ounce liquid rule as shampoo, lotion, or mouthwash. The problem, almost every store-bought yogurt cup is way bigger than that limit. According to a recent article from Times of India, TSA clarified that items like yogurt, creamy dips, jams, and spreads, all semi-solids or gels, are subject to these limits. I once stood in line behind a lady carrying a sealed Greek yogurt. She argued passionately with the officer, insisting it was fresh, healthy, and harmless. But TSA didn't see it that way. The rule is clear: more than 3.4 ounces and it's gone. The officer dropped it into the trash, and the poor woman left looking like she'd lost a treasure. It feels silly because yogurt doesn't exactly scream danger, but TSA doesn't make exceptions. If it can spill, smear, or pour, it goes into the liquid category. That's why it gets the same treatment as a bottle of lotion or even jam. So here's the smart play. If you absolutely want yogurt on your trip, eat it before the checkpoint, or just buy one once you're inside the terminal. Otherwise, you risk watching your snack get tossed before your eyes. Next time you pack your bag, remember, TSA doesn't bend the rules for breakfast. But yogurt isn't the only innocent-looking item. Let's talk about something people often carry as gifts, only to lose it in seconds at security.
5. Maple syrup. Maple syrup seems so safe. It's sweet, golden, and something you'd expect to share, not surrender. But when it comes to TSA, syrup is nothing more than a liquid, and liquids over 3.4 ounces, they're not making it through security no matter how harmless they look. This one really stings for travelers from Canada or New England. Picture it. You've bought a $50 bottle of pure maple syrup, maybe in a fancy glass leaf-shaped container. It's meant to be a thoughtful gift, a taste of home for someone far away. You carefully tuck it in your carry-on bag, only to have TSA officers shake their heads and drop it straight into the trash. Heartbreaking, right? I've seen travelers beg for exceptions, even offering to chug a bit just to get the level down. But TSA doesn't play games. Once it's over the limit, it's gone. Doesn't matter if it's sealed, expensive, or a once-in-a-lifetime souvenir. The rule is hard and fast. So what's the solution? If you're serious about bringing syrup, it has to go in your checked luggage. Wrap it in bubble wrap, slip it in a Ziploc bag, and cushion it between clothes. That way, you avoid leaks and still get to keep your gift. The bottom line is simple. Syrup is safe at home, but not in your carry-on. And losing it at the checkpoint isn't just sad, it's sticky business. And if syrup is banned, wait until you hear about another liquid food that TSA cracks down on every holiday season. Quick pause. If you're finding these tips useful, make sure you hit subscribe. That way, next time you're at the airport, you'll know exactly what TSA will take away and what you can actually keep. Now, let's get back to the list.
4. Salsa and sauces. Here's a classic mistake. Travelers bringing salsa, marinara, or even grandma's homemade pasta sauce for family gatherings. On the surface, it seems thoughtful. Who wouldn't want a jar of authentic homemade sauce? But TSA has no appetite for it. If it pours, sloshes, or even oozes, it counts as a liquid, and the 3.4-ounce limit applies, which rules out just about every jar or bottle you'd normally carry. According to TSA's official guidelines, salsa and sauces are allowed in carry-ons only if they meet that size requirement. I once had a friend traveling with 3 jars of her special sauce. Family recipe, hours of love, and every spoonful. She thought she was being clever by sealing them tightly and wrapping them in towels. But when her bag hit the scanner, the officer pulled everything out, and within seconds, all 3 jars were gone, dropped unceremoniously into the bin. No exceptions. It's one of those heartbreaking moments that stick with you. Because let's face it, salsa doesn't exactly scream danger, but TSA doesn't care. Their rule is simple. If it moves like a liquid, it's a liquid. So, what's the solution? If you really need to bring salsa or sauce, pack it in your checked luggage. Cushion it well to avoid a messy surprise. Or better yet, buy a sealed jar after security. At least then you'll make it to the dinner table with something to share.
Bottom line, sauces may win hearts at family gatherings, but at TSA checkpoints, they're guaranteed heartbreak. And just when you think you've learned the pattern, here's a holiday favorite that gets caught every single year.
3. Gravy. Holiday travelers, listen closely. If you're carrying gravy in your hand luggage, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Whether it's turkey gravy, beef drippings, or even mom's closely guarded secret recipe, TSA has one word for it: liquid. And liquids above 3.4 ounces? Gone without hesitation. Every Thanksgiving, airport trash bins become unintended buffets of discarded gravy jars. Imagine travelers carefully preparing homemade gravy to bring across the country only to see it dumped at the checkpoint. The officers don't pause and they don't sympathize. Rules are rules. I remember watching one family argue passionately, waving their sealed jar like it was liquid gold. They pleaded that it was for their holiday table, that grandma would be heartbroken. But TSA doesn't make exceptions. The officer calmly placed it in the bin and moved on to the next passenger. Just like that, Thanksgiving dinner lost one of its stars. If you really want gravy at your holiday feast, here's the safe option. Pack it in your checked baggage. Wrap it tightly, double bag it if possible, and cushion it between clothes to prevent leaks. Or buy a fresh jar after you've cleared security. Otherwise, you're simply setting yourself up for frustration. It might feel silly, after all, what's threatening about gravy? But TSA doesn't judge by taste, they judge by consistency. If it pours, it counts as a liquid, and that means it won't make it through in your carry-on. Speaking of holiday meals, this next food is the one that makes people laugh and cry at security.
2. Creamy dips and spreads. Now here's where things get painful for snack lovers. Creamy dips and spreads. We're talking hummus, guacamole, cream cheese, ranch dip, all the party favorites. They may not look like liquids, but to TSA, anything you can scoop, smear, or spread gets tossed into the same gel or liquid category. That means the 3.4-ounce rule applies. And let's be honest, when was the last time you bought a party-sized dip smaller than that? I once watched a passenger try to carry a giant tub of guacamole through security. It was meant for a big family gathering after landing. The poor guy looked heartbroken when the officer confiscated it. He even joked about eating it on the spot with his hands. But no luck. The dip still went into the trash. The problem is simple. TSA doesn't care if your dip is homemade, store-bought, or sealed tighter than Fort Knox. If it exceeds the size limit, it doesn't fly. Period. So what's the smart move? If you really must have dips or spreads at your destination, either buy travel-sized packs under the limit or pack larger containers in your checked bag. And if you're traveling light with carry-on only, your best bet is to buy dips once you're past security. At the end of the day, creamy dips are fantastic for parties, but disastrous at checkpoints. Save yourself the frustration and plan ahead. And now, the number one food you'd never expect TSA to take.
Number 1. Oils and vinegars. And here we are at number 1, the one that surprises almost everyone. Oils and vinegars. Yes, the harmless bottles you use for cooking, dressing salads, or gifting to friends. TSA doesn't see olive oil or balsamic vinegar as innocent. They see it as a liquid, and liquids larger than 3.4 ounces, straight to the bin. I once saw a traveler with an expensive bottle of Italian olive oil, still wrapped in tissue, meant as a gift. He pleaded with the officer, pointing out that it was sealed and clearly harmless. The officer nodded politely, then dropped it into the confiscation bin without hesitation. The look on the traveler's face said it all, heartbreak mixed with disbelief. It feels unfair because oils don't scream danger, but TSA isn't judging ingredients. Their rule is simple. If it pours, it qualifies as a liquid. And that means bottles of olive oil, balsamic vinegar, specialty dressings, all of them are treated the same as shampoo or juice. So here's the lesson. Never pack oils or vinegars in your carry-on. If they're gifts, carefully wrap them and place them in your checked luggage. Or buy them once you're past security, though options are usually limited.
The sad truth is that many travelers learn this lesson the hard way. One minute you're holding a gourmet gift, the next it's gone forever. Bottom line, don't let your precious oils or vinegars end up in an airport trash bin. TSA doesn't make exceptions. So there you have it, 8 foods you just can't take on a plane in 2025. Some of these rules feel silly, but knowing them saves you time, money, and frustration. Don't forget to subscribe for more airport secrets. Click on one of these videos, and I'll see you in a moment.